Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about will the Magical Musketeer archetype become good or even a meta contender with the release of their new Link monster, Magical Musketeer Max. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. So to make this analysis, I will be generally going over what this card is, what the past cards were, and then what were they lacking, and what will they still be lacking now to really make them stand out and become powerful within the format. So just going over monsters very quickly. Usually I take forever with this. Not this time. So Casper, well, all the basic effect monsters pretty much have the clause of you can activate your magical musket traps from the hand during either player's turn. So Casper has the ability, if activated in the column, you can add a spell trap card with a different name from the card you've activated. Starfire, you can special summon a level 4 or lower from the deck. Kid Brave, you can discard a magical musket card to draw 2 cards. Calamity special summons from the grave a magical musket. Doc adds from graveyard, but not with the same name of the card you've activated in its column. Wild is pretty much as Disciples. You shuffle 3 of your magical musket shards into the deck to draw a card. You then have the one that most people don't use, Mastermind Zakil, which you can pretty much tribute 1 magical musket for the summon of him. Has the same, summon, activation clause, but at the end of the turn, you get to draw cards equal to the amount of magical musket cards you have activated in the turn of its summon. Well, as long as it's face up on the field, it will count those activations. If it was done beforehand, it doesn't count. It's not like summon limit, which the summons do count, even if that card wasn't face up on the field to count them. Zakil has to be, up. So, if you snow or book a moon, any types of means it won't be able to activate. Then going on to the spells and traps, we have Cross Domination. It makes a target go 0/0 and pretty much negates its effects until the end of the turn. There's Magical Musket Steady Hands. You can target, double his attack, and then it can't attack directly for the turn. There is Last Stand. It is a counter trap where you can negate a spell and trap. There is Fiendish Deal. So it's a continuous, stays on the field. Card effect, card effect removal, destruction, does not really affect the cards while it's on the field. And if it is destroyed, you get to add a magical musket card to your hand. Desperado is a targeted face-up card on your opponent's field. Destroy it. Dancing Needle says banish 3 from the graveyard. So kind of like a more powerful DD Crow in a sense. And then there's Crooked Crook, which is a new one. Crooked Crown, my bad. Where you can special musket from the hand, and then that column monsters can't be summoned in until the end of the turn. This doesn't lock down extra monster zones, just a main monster zone. So those are the previous cards that were in its support lineup that most of them came out of the Spirit Warriors. Is it Spirit Warriors? It's the one with the Weather Painters, and I think the 6 Samurai support. Yeah, that's Spirit Warriors. And now, for the card that's releasing in the new set, Battles of Legends Heroes Revenge, it has been confirmed at this point on the official site for some reason. So this card, pretty much, it's a Link 1, so that's crazy. Just take one of your monsters to Link summon it. So, when it's summoned, you can add spells and traps, well, of course, the Magical Musket spell traps, up to the amount of opponent's monsters they control. So if they have 3, you get to add 3. Or, you can special summon from the deck different named Magical Musket monsters, up to the amount of opponent's spell and traps they control. So, in max, that would be 5. Even though they can have 6 spells and traps, you can only summon 5 monsters. So, of course, this is very powerful. It's an easy plus for the archetype. And you can see how this card makes people feel, oh, this helps the strategy so much. Because they really need a lot of resources. So now that I've shown all the cards, I'll talk more in depth about the deck itself and what power it has gained and what it still needs. So, of course, this card is really powerful. It does fix a big problem of losing resource. Once you have your monster, once you lose all your resources, you're done for. If you don't have a monster, you're not doing anything. Because the traps want to activate with the monsters and then recruit you some advantage in that way. So once you lose all your monsters, or even if you have a bunch of monsters, but you have a bunch of spells and traps, you can't, if you have all monsters, all spells and traps, you can't do anything with the strategy. So this does fix a problem a little bit. It is dependent on the opponent, of course. Like, let's say they're Mystic Mind. Well, you can't summon, and you can only summon a crazy amount of monsters, which isn't beneficial against the Mystic Mind strategy. Sure, if they haven't set up their card yet, it's okay, but if it is set up, you're not, even if you did get that effect off it, it's doing nothing. There's a few examples where, sometimes you just don't want to summon a bunch of monsters. Say your hand's full of monsters, but you're playing against Paleo, you don't need to have a bunch of monsters special to your field, especially when you have no spells and traps. So you don't really have a choice in the matter, but I would say most decks use monsters anyways, so getting the adds of the spells and traps, which is probably what you want to do more, as long as you have the right monster, as long as you have maybe Starfire, that's kind of what you want. Then you can go. And of course you can summon multiple of these. Sure, if it's kind of removed from the field, well, you can summon another one, of course. But if they just leave it, you can only link summon 2. Then you'd have to link something else, link it. They're on it is very weird, but then again, it's just something with main monsters. You're not really summoning from the max deck anyways, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't give any lock-in to the strategy from, I may have read it wrong, but it seems to have no lock-in to the strategy when you do the summoning thing, so it makes it for easy Boral Sword, I'm pretty sure. That's kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, it can set you up for Boral Sword, for what I know. My editing self, please check that for me. He'll have the answer right here. So it did get rid of those flaws, but one flaw it still has is starting out getting monsters on the field, because of course you only have 5 cards going first to draw into, and it's a bit of a disruptive strategy. I think they really want to go first, but honestly they rather take second usually, just because of the fact they do have these battle effects they can use. They can kind of go against a board kind of easily, as long as they're not going to get their normal summon disrupted. Of course, the normal summon is very important for the strategy. To have monsters on the field was very important. That's why they used Ties of Brethren to activate in the column of the monster. Summon out 2 more. They didn't really need the extra special summon. Summon out to 2 more, and they would have 3 monsters on the field. They would get the effect of whatever monster they activated in the column to summon out the other 2. You would have the monsters, and whatever you had in your hand is what you had in your hand. So that was pretty good, but when you link off to your link 1, you need to be able to summon something else. So there is going to be ways to work around that, like double summon. You can just activate it in the column. You're going to get the effect of that monster and have an extra normal summon. Then again, maybe you only open 1 monster and double summon. So there's going to be weird hand instances. But the deck, I feel, can really pop off now, where they don't lose their advantage that easily once they do get popped off, just by the effect of this link monster. But then again, if somehow they get stunted, or their hand was just that bad, they still have hard getting off the road, and can soon, easily be OTK'd, just by the fact of, if they can't activate their traps, they're very small monsters that like even decks like Altergeist can run over. So that's kind of my analysis on the strategy. I feel it can definitely be like a pretty big rogue contender, something to the quality of like Mystic Mine at least, like, you know, making it definitely day 2s of YCSs or Nats or something. Will it warrant being like hit on the ban list? I don't think it will. I don't think it'll be popping in the meta, just very strong and high, but it is a very powerful mechanic nonetheless. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked and enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.